Hello and welcome to Yorkshire Voice on this Thursday, the 27th of March. I'm Drew Ashmore.
And I'm Esme Banerjee. Here's what's coming up on today's programme.
I do believe there's troubled times ahead for us.
A farmer fears after the world's first case of bird flu in sheep was found here in Yorkshire.
Parliament is urged to act as almost 50% of 12 to 14-year-olds are trying vapes.
An injection of cash for historic Bramley baths.
And tonight, find out why a Leeds artist, Burley Banksy, is raising money for Martin House. But first, our top story this afternoon. There are fears from a local farmer after a confirmed case of bird flu was identified in a sheep here in Yorkshire. It's the first of its kind reported anywhere in the world.
The unprecedented outbreak has been classed as a serious biosecurity risk that means animal management at farms needs to be strictly regulated across Yorkshire to prevent further cases. Eric Hewood reports.
After the world's first case of bird flu in a sheep was found on an undisclosed farm, one farmer in Yorkshire whose flock is unaffected said he's concerned.
But at a certain extent, it makes you wonder what's round the corner. We try to put it to the back of our minds, but it's always there. And if it's the government going to knock at us farmers, the government will get a knock at us. I do believe they've culled one ewe, but my worry would be next. If there was any more trouble, but take the whole flock culling.
Despite the outbreak causing some concern, NFU chairman Tom Bradshaw reassured the farming community with the following statement. Farmers are understandably concerned that avian influenza has been found in the sheep. This remains a single case within what is understood to be a backyard flock, and no other infections have been found among the remaining sheep. Commercial producers continue to do all they can do to protect their animals by following strict biosecurity. Regarding the statement made, the sheep in question was humanely culled, with farmers still implementing testing where there appears to be no increased risk. Eric Hewood, Yorkshire Voice.
The future of vaping is yet to be determined as the government debates potential restrictions on the advertising and sale of vapes.
Children are now twice as likely to vape rather than smoke, which campaigners say is unacceptable. Will Cooper has more for us now.
Thank you, Drew. The impact of the tobacco and vapes bill on smoking is explicit. A clear-cut ban is the plan. However, the future of vaping remains up in the air. In particular, the government is keen to make vapes harder to access for children. Alison Hume, the MP for Scarborough and Whitby, raised the issue in Parliament last night, highlighting the impact vaping has had on young people in Yorkshire. She called for new branding restrictions to be introduced.
Vaping is not a safe alternative for children. According to last year's Growing Up in North Yorkshire survey, 25% of Year 8 students and 49% of Year 10 students have tried vapes, with 9% vaping regularly. Does my honourable friend agree with me that this bill will put an end to the deliberate branding of vapes in ways that appeal to children?
One secondary school teacher in East Leeds told us about the prominence of vape products among school-aged children.
I've definitely had to confiscate vapes off students before. I think with the way they're marketed, I think they are directed at young people. But whatever I do as a teacher, it doesn't make a difference, because if they are addicted to it, they're just going to go out and buy another one straight away, because of how easy it is and how accessible they are to young people.
The planned legislation is proving to be a challenge for the government to get right. There's a fine line where youth vaping needs to be tackled while still allowing access to vape products for smokers. MP Ashley Dalton from the Department for Health and Social Care insisted that the bill would not restrict access to vapes too tightly and that these potential benefits would be lost.
Mandating any age-gating technology for vapes creates harsher restriction for vaping than for smoking. And this could potentially make vapes less accessible and less attractive to adult smokers wishing to quit and use vapes as a smoking cessation tool.
The Tobacco and Vapes Bill passed its third reading in the House of Commons, which marks a significant step towards the bill becoming law. We will be following its progress in the House of Lords and keep you up to date with how it will affect people here in Yorkshire. Back to you, Drew.
Thank you, Will. Now for some news in brief. A World War II era unexploded bomb has been found in the River Ure, near Ripon. The device posed no immediate threat, and after coordinated response from North Yorkshire Police and the Royal Navy, a specialist team of divers successfully detonated it.
Jet2 holidays are expanding at Leeds Bradford Airport for this summer, adding more flights to destinations like Mallorca, Faro, Zante and Verona, with increased frequency on key routes. Jet2's CEO says the move meets strong demand and Leeds Bradford Airport welcomes the added flexibility for Yorkshire travellers.
A 27-storey residential tower has been proposed for Leeds city centre, featuring almost 400 apartments. The development plan includes a mix of studio, one-bedroom and two-bedroom units, plus a gym, lounge and rooftop terrace. It's hoped the project will continue to regenerating the area.
Now, moving on to a special charity event which is happening at the Burley Banksy store in the Leeds Merrion Centre tonight. The Q&A event featuring BBC Radio Leeds commentator Adam Pope and the Athletics Leeds United writer Berrin Cross is to raise money for the Martin's House Children's Hospice. Adonis Storr reports.
So I'm Andy McVeigh, Burley Banksy, and I do a lot of street art in the city on the electrical boxes. I started doing them in Burley because they were covered in horrible graffiti and swear words, and it was making the area look awful. So the event in the shop this Thursday, 27th, it's an evening with Popey and Berrin. Adam Pope, Leeds United commentator, is coming in. We're going to have a chat about Leeds United. You can ask them questions, about behind the scenes stuff and what aftershave does Daniel Farker wear, because apparently, according to Pope, he smells magnificent, which made me laugh. We're going to have a little game of It's a Beauty or penalty shootout at half time. I'm going to ask Pope to commentate on it, which I think would be really good. And it's all for Martin House Children's Hospice. All the money will go to that. My little niece, here she is, this is our Gracie. She died when she was 10 months old, and they looked after the family so brilliantly and looked after her, and they're just like I said, like angels, those people on earth, they really are.
Burley Banksy's shop can be found in the Merrion Centre, but the recipient of tonight's fundraising is Martin House Children's Hospice. They look after around 500 children with life-limiting illnesses, including end-of-life care. It takes £10.5 million a year to run the hospice.
All of that money has to be raised somehow, and having supporters like Andy who are willing to spend their time and their resources to put on events like this tonight really does mean the world to us at Martin House. I mean, we could not do what we do without fundraisers like Andy going out of their way and putting on these events out of their own passion and enthusiasm and their own kindness, and they'll want to do these things and they'll want to support the hospice.
An art gallery in Bradford has been transformed into an immersive space as part of the Bradford City of Culture celebrations.
Located on the city centre's Duke Street, it'll host a number of events throughout the programme's calendar. Courtney Brady reports.
Located in the dark basement of Loading Bay, Unspun, a new immersive visual installation, takes you on a digital journey through vibrant imagery and sound. The visual production is a collaboration between 509 Arts and Colour Foundry, as part of their Lost Mills and Ghost Mansions project, which looks back across pivotal moments in Bradford's recent history.
I found out a while ago that children were being taught the Victorian story of Bradford's textile industry, which, was cobblestones and clogs and big frocks. And my memory of Bradford's textile industry is very different. It was, the 1960s, it was flares and full cortinas and curry houses and Bollywood and wonderful time, but Bradford was still a vibrant textile city at that point. And I became aware of the fact that it was a story that was beginning to fade from memory.
The piece largely focuses on the untold stories of the Bradford textile workforce during the later 20th century. This is done by incorporating personal and historical accounts from those inside the textile industry, whilst playing them alongside archival footage.
Installation downstairs is really cool. I think it's really important that stories like this that have made such an important part in the history of Bradford are being told to all the different generations who live here.
I loved it. Really, really brilliant.
This vibrant exhibit continues through until Sunday, with special live music performances over the weekend. Courtney Brady, Yorkshire Voice.
Today, theatres up and down the country will be celebrating World Theatre Day. It's a day that highlights the unique ability of theatre to bridge cultural divides and bring people together.
Local theatres offer many benefits, including boosting the local economy, bringing communities together and promoting creativity and education.
We move across to the Calder Valley as we take a closer look at the community-run Little Theatre in Hebden Bridge. Anna Barnes visited to find out more.
Today is World Theatre Day, and despite the glitz and glamour of the West End usually stealing the spotlight, it's community-driven venues like the Little Theatre in Hebden Bridge that often makes the biggest impact.
What I love about the theatre is it's intimate. It's an intimate space, so it's wonderful to act in, and I think the audience also appreciate that intimacy. I always had an interest in acting. You know, I did loads at school, but I didn't do any at college for some reason. I suppose I was doing other things, and then fairly late in life, I mean, I was kind of in my 30s, I think, early 30s, and I got involved, and 37, 8 years later, I'm still involved, up to a point. In recent times, we've had issues with flooding on 2 occasions, which disrupted the programme, and also COVID. I mean, COVID was the major one. So during the COVID lockdown, I mean, there was about 18 months when the theatre wasn't able to produce any plays. And post-COVID, there was a reluctance on the part of audiences to come back into the theatre, you know, because, well, there's still an anxiety about being in a close, intimate space with people, and now totally back to normal. So that, you know, that's been a success story, really. Well, I just hope it carries on and flourishes, you know. It's doing very well at the moment, and it seems to be getting some very good new younger people in. Kind of, they've got new ideas, more dynamic in some ways, which is great.
This World Theatre Day, we celebrate the lasting influence of community venues like the Little Theatre. It's a reminder that the stage is more than just a place for performance, but it's a space for connection, creativity, and bringing people together. Anna Barnes, Yorkshire Voice.
The last remaining Edwardian bathhouse in Leeds has received over £500,000 in new funding from the National Lottery Heritage Fund.
Adonis Storr went to the iconic Bramley Baths to find out more.
The baths has been going since 1904, one of 10 bathhouses made in Leeds to combat the cholera pandemic. We celebrated our 120th anniversary last year. It's been a public bath, open all the time. It became community-led in 2013.
The National Lottery Heritage Fund have awarded Bramley Baths a grant. I asked their CEO, David, how they would use the funds.
£639,000, and that's to employ architects, surveyors, and to line up all the work that will happen in the 3rd stage, which is the delivery stage. So we'll be looking at restoring the steam room back to its original form. We'll be looking at getting quotes for the lockers around pool and the cubicles, referred back to what they were in 1904. We'll be looking at roof works, further insulation, more energy efficiency, you know, to get us down to 0 carbon by 2030.
This community-led and owned heritage site is loved for its services and status in Bramley, but it is the iconic building that people love the most about it.
The building itself, it's such a unique building, and I just love the history of it, and everyone's got stories from whether it was 20 years ago to 50 years ago to even further, and I just love the every day is different. There's never a dull day in Bramley Baths.
Now over to our sports correspondent, Johnny Holmes, for all the latest news.
Thank you very much, Esme. Breaking news in the cricket first. It has, in the last hour, been confirmed by the Yorkshire Cricket that Johnny Bairstow has been named club captain and will follow in the footsteps of his father, David, who captained the side from 1984 to 1986. In a statement, the Bradford-born man said he is incredibly proud. The county is embedded in my heart and I take immense pride in representing the club on the field. He added, it is now time for us to establish ourselves back in the top division. And all of this comes in the context of Bairstow being somewhat of an exile from the England international setup. The wicketkeeper has not played for his country since last June's T20 World Cup. But Bairstow remains confident a return is still possible. He said, I'd be stupid not to try and get a recall. The whole purpose of everything is to play for England. So that seems to be the 35-year-old's motivation going into the twilight years of his career. Moving on to football now, and something to get the Leeds United fans excited. A pre-season clash with their old Cross Pennine rivals Manchester United has been scheduled. It will take place in Stockholm on the 19th of July, and it will be the first fixture between the two since the summer of 2023, where the Manchester side won 2-0 in Oslo. And finally, we've got a breaking story in the world of rugby. When you hear the word Ashes, you tend to think of cricket, but Headingley Stadium in Leeds is set to host the Rugby League Ashes later this year. And our rugby expert Theo Darville is live outside the stadium now. So Theo, what more can you tell us?
Thanks, Johnny. Yes, so after 22 years of absence, the Rugby League Ashes are back. The competition pits Australia's Kangaroos against England's Lions, and it's a 3-test series, with the first test being at Wembley, followed by the Everton Stadium, and then finally finishing here in Headingley.
So, Theo, what does this mean for the North?
Well, the Australian Rugby League Commission says it wants to grow the support of the sport up here in the North. It will be the first Ashes test match hosted in Headingley for 43 years, which is causing some excitement. The Rugby League Managing Director saying after 22 years, it is a rivalry reignited that will have a truly national resonance.
And how can fans get involved?
The test is right here on November the 8th, and the tickets go on sale Wednesday next week. However, if you're eager, you can get pre-sale options right now.
Great stuff. Thank you very much, Theo. That's all for the sport today. Back to Esme and Drew.
Over the last fortnight, we've been showcasing some inspirational individuals in our People of Yorkshire segment.
Girls Who Walk is a social club who get together for a stroll every fortnight to combat the epidemic of female loneliness. Starting with a meet-up for coffee, their walks span the city of Leeds before ending with activities like museum visits and yoga classes. The group's coordinator, Meg Wilson, spoke to our reporter, Holly Hughes.
So my name is Meg, and what I'm doing in Leeds at the moment is that I'm finishing a grad scheme. So I've been doing a business one, sort of going around through rotations. I've been involved in stuff like governance, events management, and internal comms. Girls Who Walk is a gender expansive community. We work with girls and LGBTQ+ people and non-binary people in Leeds, just as an opportunity to make friends, get out into the environment, just shake off the Sunday scaries and do some nice things around Leeds. So the sort of things we usually do, we normally do a yoga. We've done that 3 times since we started. We do some coffee and walks. We mostly start at a local independent coffee shop and go for a walk through there. We set up Girls Who Walk just off the back of the success the Manchester one had. A few of us were just looking to create that in Leeds. I didn't really have a social circle. I didn't have many friends or know how to make them. So it was a really nice opportunity to just go out and do that, find like-minded people and build this nice community for us to have. And just get to sort of experience the organising of it. Any event that we sort of want to create, we can do that. And it's nice to sort of have that to fall back on.
And now we'll go over to Matthew, who's enjoying today's weather.
Thank you, Drew, and I am enjoying the weather. The march into spring continues with more nice weather today. We are seeing highs of 17 degrees, with temperatures dropping this evening to 10 degrees. There is a chance of rain from 10 p.m. The rain should then part to make room for a much cooler day tomorrow, with scattered showers throughout the day and highs of around 10 degrees. It's time to swap the shorts for jeans and get that coat on. Looking towards the weekend now, Saturday is mainly cloudy with sunny intervals during the day and highs of 12 degrees. On Sunday, however, get those barbecues out as we will see highs of 16 degrees and clear blue skies. It is the starting line for a string of good weather days as the heat continues and rises into the week. That's the weather. Back to you.
That's all we have time for today. We'll see you back here at 4 p.m. tomorrow with more news stories from across the region.
In the meantime, you can keep up to date with the latest by following us on our Yorkshire Voice socials. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.
Goodbye.